G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Now today, what I'm going to do with the 104009 here from WLtoys, I've ran this car a few times. As you've probably seen in my previous videos, I've done a full review on it, tested it out down at the pond on some off-road surfaces. Then I made a couple of videos on some speed runs. We did get very close to the 45 kilometers an hour claim on the box using a 2200 milliamp hour WLtoys 7.4 volt 2S LiPo that comes packaged with their buggy model range in the last year or so. So yeah, we got 43 k's an hour, so only 2 k's an hour short of the 45 k's they claim on the box. On the 2S, I didn't bother trying the lithium ion pack. That might be a little bit slower, but anyway, we also ran it on 3S, which ended up getting very close to 60 k's an hour. Now, you know, that you're taking a bit of a risk on the stock electronics to do so. So I don't, like I said in that video, I don't recommend it unless you're going to upgrade this to brushless or you know, maybe you got some spare WLtoys ESCs from some of the buggies. They should work and fit in this particular model. So anyway, today I'm going to check the diffs. I'm going to open this one up, check the front and rear diffs and see if they've actually got any grease in them. They seem to be pretty smooth, but I just want to check for myself, just like I did with the previous buggy models, just to see if there is any grease in there from factory, because we all know what the you know, the 124019 and the 018, even the 144001, and the newer tent scale they brought out not that long ago, the 104001, especially that model. When I opened that one up, that had basically hardly any grease at all. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, guys. I'm going to start taking it apart, and I'm just going to skip to when I actually take it apart, and we'll have a look at those diffs, and if there's any grease that needs to be added, well, we'll definitely be doing that, because I do plan to maybe put a brushless system in this one pretty soon anyway. So alright guys, so let's get into it. Okay guys, well, before I take this apart, I just noticed that one of the shock caps on the bottom here came off, and I've got oil all over this tyre. So that must have happened during my 3S speed run the other day, as you can see. So I've lost pretty much all the oil out of that. I'm going to have to fill that up. But I mean, the diffs feel pretty good, front and rear. They feel pretty smooth, but there is a little bit of, I don't know if they got grease in them, guys. They do feel smooth. They're not tight or anything to turn. But just like any other WLtoys, it's best to check these out before you actually run it. Now, I didn't do that. I've just took this one out straight out of the box, reviewed it as is, done some speed runs on it, and it's held up fine. There's no blown diffs or anything like that. So we're going to have to take quite a few screws off. Looks like I'm going to have to take a couple of these ones off. Obviously, the top center bracing here has to come off to gain access to it, and a couple underneath here to release the diff housing. All right, so I'm just going to skip to that. Once I take a diff out, I'll show you. We'll see if the actual crown gear casing has any grease on it, and also the inside where the little spider gears are, the little cross gears. We'll see if there's any grease inside those diffs. I've got a feeling there might be very minimal, which is the case with WLtoys. So I'll see you in a second, guys. I'll just undo it all and we'll have a closer look. Alright guys, now to gain access to the diff, this is the front one. So to gain access to this diff, you've got, I counted all up, around 20 odd screws just to get to it, okay? Now you've got 4 on this housing itself, another 4 up top here. You've got to take the hinge pins off as well. So there's about 10 just here, okay? And those 4 include these 4 that I've put back here so I don't lose them. They're on the actual tower, the shock tower, and that's these 4 here, okay, up top. Also have to release, you know, all these screws from the top of the chassis plate, this second floor chassis plate. I haven't done the back yet, but I've taken the screws out already. So anyway, let's have a look. I'm going to part this for the first time. We'll see if there's any grease. It's pretty dry in there to me. Okay, so it looks like they've just done the same as they do the previous models. There's a layer of grease on the plastic of the pumpkin here. It doesn't look like this crown gear has got any grease on it. So yeah, the grease is meant to be actually on the crown gear itself, not just around this plastic housing or pumpkin. Okay, so it is metal geared. Okay, I'm going to take these 4 off now and we'll have a look inside. I think it's going to be just like the other WLtoys with hardly, maybe a dollop of grease in there. I mean, as you can see, even this input gear here for the center drive shaft, it's all bone dry. Look at that. Bone dry gear. Just like all the other WLtoys. Crazy, isn't it? When are they going to just learn? I mean, a lot of us guys on YouTube have made plenty of videos out there already from us guys showing that, you know, they need to put grease in their diffs, and they continue to do the same thing. Unbelievable, man. Okay guys, well, I just took the 4 screws out. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so it looks like it's got the same setup as the 104001 buggy. We've got a keyway on this input gear, okay, to go into the diff, and just as I suspected, they've put hardly any grease in there at all. Come on, WLtoys. So anyway, I'm going to go and fill this up with my own grease. Yeah, a lot of guys are using oil in these diffs because they got the gasket and they're sealed, but I like to use automotive high temp bearing grease. That's what I'm going to use, guys. Alright, and I'm just going to pack it in there. Alright. Alright guys, well, I've got the diff housing back in the casing here, and it is nice and silent now with a bit more lubrication there with the grease. Can't hear that metal on metal anymore. Okay, so I'm going to put this all back together now. I'll put the diff back into the rear subframe here, screw it all back together, put the finish off the front end, and yeah, take off the rear diff and sort that one out. Okay guys, well, I've got the whole front subframe back together, front bumper and everything, so it's all back together now. Put that shock that was leaking, I filled it up with a bit of oil, so that's all good. So this is how it should look, okay, before you put it on the actual chassis. It's nice and smooth now, nice and silent. Can't hear any metal or metal grinding in those gears, so yeah, just have to bolt it on to the front of this chassis now, okay guys? So I'm going to do that and do exactly the same on the rear. I'm going to have to take the full rear subframe off like I done here. It's exactly the same procedure. So for that fact, you know, that is exactly the same. I'm not going to bother filming myself doing the rear because I've just shown you how to do the front. Just be dragging out this video too long. So once I do the rear, I'll put the car back, or the truck back together, and that will be it. It'll be all serviced and have some nice smooth operating diffs. Alright guys, well, I'll do the rear now and I'll come back once it's all done. So anyway guys, I've taken the chassis plate off, and I just noticed on the rear here, the center drive shaft actually connects to a plastic drive cup on the back here. I don't know why they didn't go for metal. And look at all the dirt and grit that actually got inside where the spur gear and pinion gear is. I'm going to have to clean that out. Look at the amount of debris in there. A lot of sand. So yeah guys, I just thought I'll show you that. Put that in the light. Quite a bit of grit in there. Pretty surprised because it is sealed, so the grit is getting in there somehow. But anyway, I'm going to do the rear now, and then we'll put it all back together. Okay guys, well it's all back together now. I went ahead and done the rear diff. Like I said earlier in the video, I didn't want to bore you with the same procedure as doing the front there. Just have to take the subframe off the rear and do exactly the same thing. So yeah, it's all back together again guys. I've connected all the motor wires and the servo back together as well, and it's really nice and silent and smooth now. Yeah, before you could hear a bit of metal on metal. So yeah, fix the front shock up as well where it was leaking, and it's ready to go. So yeah guys, that's basically what you want to do when you get this car. I mean, I did run it a couple of times for those previous videos before even looking at it, but I thought it was worth having a look at this one. And it looks like to me that they're using the actual same diffs out of the 104001 buggy. They look pretty much identical. So yeah, this model has a few upgrades over the previous 124002A. When parts are available, you probably could just upgrade your 124002A. I believe those ones did have plastic gears. I never opened mine up, but I went on the forums. I think there was mention that the diffs were plastic gears on those. So yeah, you could easily update it. These body shells, like I showed you in my first video, fit on each model. The body posts are the same. So so yeah, anyway guys, make sure if you do buy this 104009 truck, go through and do what I just did in this video and make sure you got adequate grease in those diffs, or oil, whatever you prefer to use. I just always use high temp bearing grease in my RCs, and I find it works really well. It makes these the drivetrain last a lot longer on these particular budget RCs. So anyway guys, thanks very much for watching. If you've missed all my other videos, I've done a handful of them now, including this one. I'll leave links to all those videos during this video. At the top right hand corner of the screen you would have seen them pop up, and also at the end outro guys. So if this video was a little bit informative and helped you out, please give us a like. Sure do appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you'll be informed every time I drop a new video. As always, links to the RCs that I feature on the channel are in the description below, along with coupon codes. So make sure you use those coupon codes if you do decide to buy from the links in the description. Sure to appreciate it. Alright guys, next time I'll catch you around, and have a good one.